Thanks for tuning in to Travel Royally Podcast. This is your host, Hayden Moore. We are sponsored by Royal Links Golf Tours, where we create unforgettable golf vacations to the British Isles. You can find us at royallinksgolftours.com. Welcome, everybody. This is Travel Royally Podcast. Welcome to our second episode. Today we've got Dale Schmitz. Dale Schmitz has pretty much been Jeff's right-hand man through the planning process. He's been to the British Isles 9 times with him. He also has been a great advocate in starting Royal Links Golf Tours. Dale, welcome.
Hey, glad to be here, Abe.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about how you met Jeff, where that relationship started, and where it is now.
So Jeff and I met probably too long ago for me to mention. But the reason
Was I alive?
What's that?
Was I alive when y'all met?
Probably no.
26?
No.
Okay, so it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Just so you know, when I went to college, which, by the way, this is the link that we all have with
Yes.
Jeff, right? With one another is.
Absolutely.
There you go. You see. Can we do it? Can we do it? You see. There you go. And I guess the season starts tomorrow, so it's appropriate that I see you got your head cover there. That's great. Yeah, so Jeff was 4 years ahead of me at UC. And then when I went to UC, actually the starting QB there was Danny McCoyne. And I think he's somewhere in there on the list, I think just behind you in terms of total career yards, but he was pretty good quarterback. Yeah. The team wasn't that good, but he was.
Well, it happens.
And so when I graduated, I worked a couple of years for a printing packaging concern, and then I went to interview for a job at Steelcase. I didn't even know who Jeff was, and then one of the people I was interviewing with said, "Hey, I see you went to University of Cincinnati. I know this guy in LA that works for Steelcase. You may want to talk to him." And that was how I met Jeff. So I talked to Jeff. I don't even remember really having a conversation with him before I was hired, but once I started working there, I actually had a dotted line to him. He was in the furniture, one of our wood furniture line division, and I worked in that too and reported to him for a little while. So I went down to LA a couple times on business. One time I stayed and we golfed together one weekend, and that's where we discovered that we both had a passion for golf and kind of developed that part of our friendship. And then he got promoted from LA to become the area sales director in Seattle, which is where I was. And I had already worked out where I was going to be transferred to Columbus, Ohio. My wife and I moved to Columbus. So basically the area VP came up and announced Jeff's promotion. And then he said, "Hey, Jeff, you and Dale and I need to talk in the next room because he's got something he needs to tell you." So I reported directly to Jeff for about half a day, which was probably too long.
Does he hold that against you sometimes?
He does bring it up all the time. Yeah, he's not too happy about it.
Nice. So basically your British Isles trips has been with Jeff. Is that every time, or have you gone without him?
No, I think every time it's been with Jeff. I was, and I know we'll probably hit on it later, but I was scheduled to go last year, but of course COVID changed those plans, and that was just, I was gonna meet up with Jeff there. Jeff was planning to be in St. Andrews last summer, and my wife and I were gonna go over and start in England and then meet him over there. But no, all 9 have been with Jeff. And the way it all happened is we were at a Steelcase function in Chicago, and he had just gotten back in 98. This was in 98. He had just gotten back from taking his dad over there on a trip. And he said, "Would you be interested in going?" And I just instantaneously said yes. I mean, I didn't even ask him how much it would cost or didn't even check it out with my wife. I just said, yes, I want to do it. And the great thing is my wife, Mary Jo, she's been really supportive of me going on these trips. And despite her knowing Jeff well. And so I said, yeah, I want to go. And so that's when first trip I went was in 99. And then 2002, or rather 2003. And then I can't remember. Then there was obviously multiple times all the way up to, I think the last time I went over there was in 13, I want to say.
Yeah. Okay. It's 2013. So you're probably itching.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready to go back.
So what trip do you have planned in the future?
So, well, the trip that we had planned last summer was we were going to fly into Manchester, England, drive west to Southport, and basically stay there and play a lot of great courses that are in that area. One of them being Royal Birkdale, Southport and Ainsdale. We had Formby, which is fantastic, and they have two courses there, a men's course and a women's course. The women's course is more difficult than the men's course. And then we had a few others I can't recall, but yeah, we had a pretty full itinerary of about 5 courses we were going to play there, and then of course whatever we could grab onto over in St. Andrews.
Formby, Jeff told me, has a nice dormy house. Y'all were probably going to stay there, correct?
Well, they don't offer co-ed. We did ask about that. They don't offer co-ed accommodations there currently. So no, that would have been great. But we were going to stay, I think it's not that too far from Southport, I believe. So it's just amazing how much golf. I mean, aside from St. Andrews and, golf courses per capita, I mean, I think that part of England probably has as many as any part of the British Isles. Mm-hmm. And so it's just so saturated with great links courses. You can play just about anywhere and walk in any direction and bump into one. And it's a great world-class course.
Yeah, we've got a father-son duo that we're sending there. Play like 6 open championship courses. It's a great area.
Yeah.
So Jeff started his British Isles trips with his father, and I know you took your stepfather one time. Tell us when that was, and tell us how special that was to be able to take him over there.
Yeah. So, what's great about that is it's just so special when you take somebody that's close to you. So I encourage anybody who's thinking about taking a trip to the British Isles to golf. First of all, you get addicted, right? So I've been 9 times, and I wish I would have gone more than that, actually, because there were quite a number of trips that I passed on just because of work conflicts or personal conflicts. I couldn't go, but just after going the first couple of times myself, then when I invited friends to go and they went along, and then especially when I took my father, that was my stepfather I took in 2012. He was 68 years old at the time. He's still doing great, playing just as good at golf as he ever has, really. He's in his 80s now.
His age?
Yeah, I mean, close to it. He gives me a run for my money every time.
Well, that's not very hard.
Yeah. No, that's true.
No, I was kidding. We were teammates last time, and we did beat Jeff and Dick. So I can't say.
That's right. I do want to talk a little bit about that because I know
they're talking. Got it on the schedule.
Yeah, they're talking about a rematch, and I want to talk to you about that. But no, he's playing guys that are like 15 years younger than he is in his weekly golf group, and he's winning more times than he's not. So he's very competitive. But I invited him to go on the trip, and I was he was retired at the time, so I picked up part of the cost of the trip, but he had the best time, and being able to experience it, through his eyes and through what he was doing. I mean, I just forgot about myself and really was just so focused on what he was doing. So if it's, you know, somebody out there thinking about planning a trip, and, you know, take your brother, your sister, you know, your good friend, your father, your mother, whoever, but someone close to you. And it's amazing, just being able to see how much, you know, they're taking it all in. And he absolutely loved it. When we went to the old course, it was funny because he had a caddy, and at the end of the round, he said, "Wow, how much should I tip my caddy?" And I said, "Well, you know, what the customary." He goes, I think I'm gonna give him more. He probably, you know, he probably needs it." And so he gives him the money. I don't, well, you'd be surprised. So it was funny. Then we went to the Dunvegan Inn right there in St. Andrews, where we were staying, and all of a sudden, his caddy drives by in a convertible Mercedes, and I said, "Hey, CJ, there's your caddy who's struggling. That you just."
Oh.
He saw us and honked and waved. It was pretty fun.
Well, I'm sure every guy that guy has caddied for says the same thing, and that led to him getting a Mercedes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
wow. All right. Well, let's get into some of the courses.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to ask this to everybody.
Sure.
What is your favorite course and why?
So I'm going to answer this question a little bit indirectly, because I think it's difficult to answer. And I'm going to make an analogy between British Isles links courses and British rock groups. Okay. So this course right here, right? St. Andrews Old Course, that is, you know, probably you have to take that one and set it aside as its own course, because there's nothing quite like it. It's very quirky, but it's just it's part of the DNA in every subsequent, not just links course, but any course that's been built in the world. You know, is all drawn inspiration and architectural ideas and archetypes from that one course. And so I really liken that to the Beatles, right? The Beatles, they were the first. They were, you know, obviously were prolific for only being together, just over a decade. And just have this catalog of music that, you know, would rival any group of bands throughout their career, right? So I take St. Andrews kind of out of that mix, just like I would take the Beatles. And like after the Beatles, I would say, you know, I love Led Zeppelin, The Who, you know, bands like that. And then for courses, links courses, I would say my favorite course there, aside from St. Andrews Old, would probably be, and that's a hard one because it depends on different, you know, Jeff and I did a rating system a few years ago where we took everything we, you know, basically did it on a spreadsheet, and we took into account, like, you know, the clubhouse, how accommodating the staff was, you know, the playability of the course, shot values, all of those things. And I think St. George's came up I think it was his number one course. I can't find mine. I don't know what my course was. I think St. George's was definitely at or near the top, but I like Muirfield. Muirfield what's that?
Heard that a lot from a lot of people.
Yeah, Muirfield is just one of those courses where it's I just like the aesthetic of it. It just fits my eye, and I just think it's really, and I've been there and I played it once, and then I went there for an open championship, and to watch the pros play, and it's just stunningly beautiful piece of land. It's not right on the water or anything, so it's not like dramatic that it's on the sea, but it's definitely has a lot going for it in terms of just being a really solid golf course. And then you know, Prestwick is really kind of Prestwick would be, to draw another analogy, is kind of like the Rolling Stones, right?
Yeah.
They're not as quite as polished or famous, maybe, but
history.
Just real gritty, you know.
Yeah.
A lot more rhythm and blues there than maybe the St. Andrews, but a great course nonetheless. So I would say probably, and then there's just a lot of courses. I mean, if I had to say value, if I wanted to be a member somewhere, and I told Jeff this, I'd love to be a member at Formby. I think Formby's just, it's great. It's not too stuffy.
Yeah.
I like the members there. It's almost like a glorified municipal. They would shudder to hear me say that over there, but I mean that in the best sense of the way,
Yeah.
you know, of the word. But yeah, so I guess that would probably answer that question.
For sure.
Did you like my analogy?
Yeah, I loved it. I need to rephrase that question to favorite course besides Old Course, because I feel like a majority of the people are going to say the Old Course.
Yep.
So yeah, give us a couple of your favorite memories over the years, maybe one or two with Jeff or your stepdad or whatever. That's one of the memories that pop up, and just the first thing that pops up in your head.
So yeah, well, the first year I went was the final round. We were playing Prestwick, and I hit a good shot, and I turned to my caddy, and I went to high five him, you know, and he kind of looked at me like, and I said, high five, and he looked at me and he goes, high four. He was missing a finger, so that was Tommy, and I think Tommy's no longer with us. He had a bit of a consumption problem, as they call it over there, but he died a young man. But he was pretty funny. The caddies are, you know, hilarious. You know, probably the caddy stories are some of the best ones. You know, I remember being at St. Andrew's Old Course, and I wasn't playing. My group had just got done, but another one of groups that were on the trip with us was in the group behind us. And as they came up to 18, one of them Tony Palooka had hit into the Valley of Sin. So the Valley of Sin, for those who don't know, it's basically you're in this deep depression to the short left part of just off the green, and you've got to either chip it, or most people play it along the ground with a putter to get it up onto the putting surface. And so, you know, Tony was talking to his caddy, and he said, I don't know if I can get it. How hard do I have to hit it to get it up there? I'm just worried it'll roll back. And his caddy walked over to him, and I have this on my I recorded this on my camera. He said, I'll tell you what, if you don't get it up there on the green, I'm going to punch you as hard as I can in the stomach. How's that? And he goes, oh, that's a good incentive. So he had no problem getting up there. And they just caddies, they just say, you know, really funny things, and they know your game right away, and they know how to, you know, talk to you. Like they kind of really do. They're almost, you know, psychologists. They kind of really read you right away, and that's what's great about them, because they're professionals. You know, most of them over there. Yeah. The one thing that pops into my mind is, and there's hundreds of stories, but and I'll end on this one, which is one night we had an individual on one trip that did a little bit excessive, shall we say, partaking of alcohol. And so one night, after he had, I think, had consumed close to 2 bottles of wine on his own, he and I were staying in the crow's nest of this hotel, which was basically a circular staircase up 3 stories. And so I had to actually help him walk a couple of blocks from the restaurant back to the bed and breakfast we were staying at, and then basically carry him by the crook of his neck and his belt in his britches, and basically had to lead him up the stairs all the way up to our room on the 3rd floor. So that was not necessarily a great memory, but
that's just what pops in your head.
You said one that comes to mind, and that certainly comes to mind. And I think Jeff takes great delight in talking about that.
Oh, I'm sure. That's funny. So this kind of leads into the next next question about experiences. A lot of the big thing with us is we like our golfers to have more off course experiences, not just golf. You know, whiskey distilleries, Scotch distilleries, taxi tours. What's been your favorite thing
Yeah.
besides golf that you've done overseas?
Yeah, and I think that's great, and I think that's really, something that's going to set you guys apart from, other tour groups, or certainly doing it on your own, is just and what Jeff has done over the years, is on the trips he's organized, has really made it so it wasn't all about just the golf, right? The golf has been fantastic, but sometimes you just need a little break away from it, right? I see some of these, and I've seen groups in there, it's like a funeral march, they're just like they're just golfing, 36 holes one day, 27 the 37, and it's like, guys, that's not fun. It gets to be just like where you're just out there plotting, you don't even remember what the heck you did. So some of the things that I've done in past trips was with Jeff is, the Edinburgh Castle, right, in the Miracle Mile leading up to it is fantastic. Just all the shops going up there. You've got bagpipers who were there, and then just seeing the history of that castle, which overlooks the city of Edinburgh, is just amazing.
Yeah.
And then distillery tours. We went on the one I was on was the smallest distillery at Edredour in Scotland. And that's a fantastic, it's the smallest distillery in Scotland. That was great. And then, there's just a lot of other things like walking tours. I know he's done that. I've never done that, but he's offered that as an option for other folks to do, to just get a historical. If you want to go through St. Andrews, it's going to be your only time in St. Andrews, I would definitely recommend doing something like a walking tour. So those are the ones that stand to mind. I know he's got a lot of other things up his sleeve in terms that he's ready to roll out with some of your guests. So I think it's great.
Yeah, we've done a lot of research on some extra things on the list. We've got some fishing tours that we've been really excited, some fly fishing areas. So we're excited for hopefully getting a group of guys that likes that, and we can send so we can kind of experience and see how that is. So what do you think the main differences are for Parkland courses and links courses?
Well, there's a lot.
And by the way, for everybody, Parkland courses are, courses off the coast and, kind of the U.S. normality. Of course, is the Augusta course, and then the links courses are the ones in the British Isles that are on the coast. The land can't be farmed because it's, sandy, and it's just like totally a different feel, is from what I understand from listening to y'all. Explain a little bit about those differences, and also like which one's harder.
Okay. So that, by the way, that's an excellent description you just gave of both and how they're different. With Parkland courses, you got things like, trees and
trees. Nobody likes trees. So
and lakes, you don't see many lakes on links courses, right? You'll see burns, which are basically what the Scots call streams. It's really the primary difference is to properly play links golf, especially if you have any wind, is to play it along the ground, right, or low as possible. And so I'll give you an example. So if you had like a 70-yard pitch shot to the green, here in the States in a Parkland course, you would take out your 60 degree or your 56 degree, and you would hit basically the same shot over and over and over again, right? And just try to stuff it near the flag, especially if it's a green that's elevated or anything. There's not a lot of variability to that, right? Over in Scotland, you could play that with 5 different clubs, including in some conditions if it was really running hard and fast and dry with your putter. And you could basically say, I'm gonna try to land it here and let it roll. And sometimes, you're letting it roll half the distance. So if it's 70 yards, it's basically running out 35 yards onto the green, depending on what kind of club you use. So it's to me, I think that's where, I think that's just what's great about the golf over there, is that you can use your imagination and pull off different shots than having to do the same one over and over again. That would be the primary difference. And then the other thing, is just like in the architecture, like you'll see a lot of times they'll have bunkers that are in the middle of the fairway, right? Now over here, people would be up in arms and saying that's unfair, and
why would you do that?
Yeah, and over there it's just like, well, it's it's on the scorecard, it's on the yardage book if you want to buy a yardage book, or if you play it enough time, not to hit it to that part of the fairway, or to hit it a lesser club so it doesn't run into the bunker, or to try to power it over the bunker if you can. So it's those types of things that I think are unique to links golf. And we don't have many links golf. We have a lot of links style, type courses in the States. There's very few. There's a couple on the East Coast, Bandon Dunes, I think you could qualify as links. But other than that, there's not a lot. I grew up in the Northwest, in the Seattle area of Washington State. And I played some golf as a youngster over in near the ocean, right on the peninsula of Washington. And there it was not true links golf, but it was similar in that, you're on the sea, it had the same atmosphere and everything. So when I grew up and I started watching things like the Open Championships on TV, I thought, wow, this is really cool. And I just had kind of a kinship to it and kind of fell in love with it then. And that's probably why, I was so immediate in my response to Jeff when he asked if I would be interested in going on that first trip.
Yeah. Awesome. So how many Open Championships have you been to?
Just one that I've attended.
So the Muirfield?
Yeah, Muirfield in, when was that? 2013.
Okay.
I went with Jeff and our friend, who Dick Eskew. Funny story about that trip is we flew into Edinburgh, we got our rental car, and we drove straight to Muirfield, which is about a half hour, 40 minutes outside of Edinburgh, and went to the car park, got out, walked to the course, and realized once we got through the gates and we were in the course that we didn't bring any sunblock with us. And so it was like a rare, day over there in July. It was probably in the low 80s, maybe upper 70s, but it felt hotter than that. And so we were just baking in the sun. And so we're like, we got to get some sunscreen. So we bought some and lathered up in it. And I thought it was pretty funny that here we were, the Americans, and we're in Scotland, and we're the ones that are, layering up on the sunscreen.
Yeah. That's funny. Do you plan to go to any Open Championships in the future?
I'd love to go.
For St. Andrews this year, maybe.
Yeah, St. Andrews would be a great one to go to. I'm trying to think of other courses. Of course, they played the one in Ireland, right? What course was that at? I can't remember the name. That was Royal Portrush.
Okay.
That was that was 2 years ago. That was a great, or in 19, that was a great venue, and I've played there. That's a great course. I don't know. Muirfield was pretty fun as far as places to go see the Open, because you could get really good vantage points, and that's just kind of spread out all over, so, and easy to get around. So I don't know. I'd love to go to St. Andrews. That'd be fun, kind of sitting in the Old Gritun along the 18th road along the 18th green and watch the golfers come in.
I'm sure that would be a crazy experience. Not only getting to play the course, but getting to watch the golfers that we watch on TV every weekend play there. I watched a little bit of the Tour Championship earlier. And they're just to be able to, I was watching last week the BMW Championship, and one thing that I want to be able to see before my time's up or his time's up is Bryson DeChambeau hit a drive. I can just imagine the screens that he gets every time and how crazy the ball comes off. I want to see that in the swing speed. I'm sure it's incredible. So that's on my list for sure.
Well, I'm with you. And are you going to the Open? Are you going to the Tour Championship this week?
No, I don't think so. No, but I'll be tuning in for sure.
Yeah, you should try to go if you can get a ticket and go on Sunday or something. Because I went to that. I don't know, it was probably 5 or 6 years ago, and did this kind of the same thing, except at that time it was Dustin. Bryson was not tour yet, so I went and saw Dustin. And I mean, watching him hit a drive.
Yeah, Dustin too.
And I was right next to him. I was looking straight on to the side of him, right? Yeah. And it was like watching a jet airliner take off. I mean, it was just incredible, the sound it made and just the speed.
Yeah. That's only about 30 minutes away from me, so that's definitely a possibility. So I know that you've played all the Open Championship courses except one. Which one is that, and when are you planning to play it?
See, I've got a plate that Jeff gave me. I don't know. I don't know if it's sitting over there. I think I put it away. But he gave me a plate when we were supposed to go on a trip in 2012. And unfortunately, I couldn't make it for the first few days of that trip. And the first course that they played over there was at Royal Birkdale. And that's the one I have not played. Yeah. So I mentioned earlier, the trip that I had planned to go over with MJ last year, that was one of the courses that we had lined up to play there. So I could, basically finish that out and say I played every single course in the Open Rota. But I'm going to do it. Hey, I have a feeling I may be dragging my 90-year-old, butt in there to play.
You're going to have to get there eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. And the deal with Jeff is this plate he gave me is a little tarnished, since then. So I told him, I said, if I do it, you got to shine it up for me and represent it to me.
Nice. That's awesome. Besides that course and knowing some of the new courses that we've introduced to you, which course that you haven't played are you looking forward to playing next? So no, we've kind of introduced to you Dunbarney. You've heard a lot about that. It's a new course in Scotland.
Dunbarney sounds like a great links.
Yeah,
I'll start there.
Jeff definitely had given us high hopes for that course. He said he was the first American to play it, and he said that every hole, when he got to the tee box, he was saying, wow.
No, I'd love to play that. That sounds like an excellent course. There's one that Jeff is always, held in high regard and talked about quite a bit that I haven't played, called Enniscrone in Ireland.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a great course. Trying to think of others that I haven't played what are some other new ones that you've got on your radar?
St. Patrick's Links. It is.
That's it. Is that in Ireland or is that in Scotland?
It's in Ireland. It used to be an old course and it kind of went bankrupt, and they remade it. They rebuilt it. It's on a peninsula. It looks amazing, and I think it's either open for play already or COVID stopped it for a while. But it's definitely in the past year or this year opening up. So it's another one that we're excited to get out to.
Yeah. They're all good. I mean, it's like you take your worst links course. It's like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's still good.
It's funny that I was just thinking about pizza. I was like, all right, I'm about to say something about pizza and how it's really hard to mess up pizza unless you put pineapple on it. That's one thing.
What about Adriatico's?
That's the place right there. It. Yeah. That's where I took my lineman at the beginning of the season. I got to take them there, get them there. Bearcat pizza. It's probably, you can't even see it on the screen, but it's probably this wide, this long and this wide. and we couldn't even finish it. I got to take home leftovers. So that's where
I
I
don't
kept
know.
it every year.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much garlic in those things. You wake up the next day and you're just like, you can't get away from yourself. You
Yeah,
know, it's
man,
no,
that is some good leftovers right there. I promise you. It's just the bad thing is the boxes don't fit in your fridge. So you don't know. I don't know what to do. Like you just have to like, I don't know, put them in baggies or something.
wrap them in foil. So yeah, but I agree with you. No fruit on, no pineapple on pizza.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're on the same page there. Um, so a little off subject
Yep.
is I hear your secret to winning is having a few too many drinks before the round. I've heard
Well,
this story a couple times. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and let's hear your side.
okay. So you're saying I had too many
There
drinks?
was one instance that you had too much to drink and you apparently won that day in a landslide. So there's your secret. Tell us about it.
So so fast forward to today. I used to never imbibe while I played golf. Like I and the last couple of years I've started to I've become a little bit more liberal in terms of taking a sip or two out on the course. That, you know, if it's, well, first of all, when you're playing sometimes and you get some adverse weather and you're playing links golf, right? There's really no protection from the wind and the rain and everything.
Yeah.
So you got to take. I recommend everybody at least brings a flask with them, with some good Scotch whiskey in it to fortify you in those types of situations. But okay, so the story goes like this. This is the truth. We were playing the final round in Ireland at Duke's golf course, which is a great club. Another one of those kind of like club courses you don't hear much about, but is a fantastic course. Great membership, great clubhouse, and so we showed up there, rolled out of the van, and we had a carryover. We were playing some side games, right?
Yeah.
And we had a tie from the day before. So the way we were going to resolve this tie was we were going to have a putt off and in the practice green. And I was so I wasn't putting very well to begin with, and I would so I knew this. So I got out there and I was horrible. I mean, I didn't even come close to winning that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like three or four guys in the playoff. So as soon as I was out of it, I walked straight into the clubhouse, into the pub, and I ordered a Irish whiskey with coffee in my coffee. I may have had two. I may have had a double. I may have two doubles.
Can't remember. And then, but so how did your golf game?
I walked out of there a new man, brimming with confidence, and I kept telling myself, like after I got to the first green, I remember just repeating in my mind over and over again, "You are a good putter. You are a good putter. You are a good putter." I kept saying that over and over, and it must have worked because I ended up playing pretty well. My short game was really good that day, and ended up winning by a couple of strokes. But yeah, that was that was one of, Jeff brings that up. That didn't happen very often, but like I said, now, and it's probably more because of my aches and pains I have, with my advancing age, that I sometimes imbibe on the golf course just to loosen everything up a little bit.
Yeah. I try to stay away when I'm betting money because, after about 13 holes, the bet goes down the drain for me. So if I'm doing any of that, I'll stay away from a couple beers just to kind of keep my game up. I think anything past 3, I start to hit my putts a little short and a little wayward. So putting gets really, really tough for me. Speaking of, last Christmas, we had our first annual Christmas round. You, Jeff, our friend Dick, and I. And after the round, we had dinner, and y'all always do Christmas presents. And basically, it's become let's buy each other bottles of scotch right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we go to a place that we got a cork fee, and y'all pretty much introduced me to Scotch, correct?
That's right. We started that. Oh yeah, now that makes sense. What happened to you? So we started
Yes.
drinking whiskey at the restaurant. Yeah. So you said we had dinner, but let's be precise
Okay,
here.
let's get more
We didn't
specific.
we didn't pay for dinner.
Me
You
and
and I.
Dale did not pay for dinner.
That's
Yes,
right.
Jeff and Dick paid for the dinner that night because the obvious reason we beat them.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and tell them they had about a 3 or 4 shot lead going into like the front 9, right? And we made a little
Yeah.
comeback, so we're proud of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't me who suggested to go to your house. All I said was, whose place is going to be the after party? That's all I said.
Yeah.
And then it was them two that suggested your house. So that's how we ended up there. And I want to ask you, how
Yeah.
much of your Scotch collection did we take away from you that night?
I don't know. There were a few dead soldiers that were laying around, but I do remember waking up in the morning and going downstairs, and I walked out into and kind of peeked out the garage and saw that Dick's car was in the driveway. Now he only lives like a mile, less than a mile away from me, so he had to be pretty well in the bag to not drive home.
Yeah.
I don't know how much whiskey we consumed, but I know that somebody consumed the most, and I think paid a pretty steep price.
I paid a price next morning because, I think Scotch is just a different animal, and I don't think my body was ready for that. So
You stayed at Jeff's, right?
Yeah, we got home and kind of took a dent out of Jeff's collection as well. So
he said he made you an omelet the next morning, and he picked at it for about an hour and probably ate a couple of bites, and that was all.
I don't know. All right, one last question, and we're going to get to some rapid links questions. Last one. What separates Royal Links Golf Tours from other golf tours companies? And why do you think that that's going to help us succeed?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, congratulations to you and Jeff, and really taking this venture on, because I think it's very much needed in that space. I think there's a lot of tour companies out there. I think most of which, are kind of resting on their laurels in terms of how they approach it, and what kind of experience they deliver. I think what will really stand you all apart from what's being offered in the market today is exactly what we just talked about in terms of Jeff's knowledge, your growing knowledge of what's available there, not only in terms of great courses to play, but also, rounding out that experience with, being able to do some things apart from golf. So the accommodations, the places to go eat a great dinner, and then the nice touches that Jeff always arranges for, like the final dinner, the champions dinner, that final
claret jug.
Yeah, and then did you say claret jug?
I did say claret jug. Okay, there we go.
If you're so fortunate, you get this one. This one was at Hillside Golf Course. So I didn't play Birkdale, but I played. This actually runs on the property right next to it. This was in 2003. It's the last one I won, by the way.
So the claret jug has
been a little bit of a drought, but
what is that? 18 years, I think, with that one.
Not talk about that.
We don't have to talk about that. I was keeping that away, but you kind of brought it up, so.
Yeah. No. But things like this, like having a claret jug. I mean, how many other tour companies are gonna let somebody organize a trip where somebody walks away with that? So, and Jeff will do whatever. I mean, if you don't want a claret jug and you want, this is the first one he gave out.
Oh, lovely.
That was the first one. So he's graduated to the claret jug, which is great. So I think the experience that people have, and the other thing I'll say is, I've had a lot of friends that I've invited to go on trips, and was never able to give them. And the excuse I always heard was, well, I'll do it, next year, or I'll do it when I have more money, or I'll do it when I've got more time off, or I'll do it when and then tomorrow never comes, right? And I think if it's one thing that hopefully people have learned as we're going through this pandemic, is that life is short, but life is sweet, and you got to take advantage of it while you can. And so I would say, if you're gonna do a trip over there, do it right, do it properly. Go with somebody who, with you and Jeff, who know what they're doing, and will really show the ultimate in a links golf experience, and travel royally. I think that's a great catchphrase, and I think that's really what you guys are going to offer the folks that go with you on tours.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think the family aspect as well, and how personal we can be with our clients. Jeff is, every day he gets back to you with email, and his expertise on links golf and the hotels, he's able to work with you. We give you a very easy example of a tour that we might want you to take, and if you want to change anything, we're going to be on a Zoom call explaining everything and talking with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like just the different levels. Some tour companies is just like, okay, it's one size fits all, right? Yep. This is what we offer, take it or leave it. But with what you and Jeff have got put together, is just basically, it can be a self-directed tour if somebody wants to do that, or go around or drive yourself around, or have a driver. Yeah. Or go on a big, on a big bus. Either any way they want to do it, you've got a way to accommodate that. And Jeff, I have to say, Jeff is like a big brother to me, and I've known him for a long time. And he is one of the most organized people I know, and certainly the most passionate about golf, especially in links golf. Yeah. That I know too. So that comes across, and you'll never regret, doing a golf trip to the British Isles. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, Jeff always says, you go once, you're gonna want to go again. So, yeah. So we've got a new thing on Travel Royally podcast called Rapid Links. It's new rapid questions that Dale gave me the idea for, and we're going to do it every time because I love it. All right, you ready? All right. Championship course or members course?
Members.
All right. Post round beverage, wee dram or pint?
Both.
Okay, great answer. Ireland or Scotland?
Scotland.
All right. 200-yard par 3 over water. What club are you hitting? Wind in the face, 2.
Whatever it takes. Whatever I got in the
Don't
bag.
say driver. Don't say driver. It might be.
Next question.
Next question. Would you rather stay in a small town or big city?
Small town.
Okay. You walk into a pub after a round at St. Andrews. What do you order?
Oh, tennis with the top.
Okay. You're going to have to tell me about that later.
Yeah.
All right. If you had to play one golf course for the rest of your life, which would it be?
Probably Murfield.
Yeah. Okay. Love it. Last one, Bryson DeChambeau or Brooks Koepka?
Brooksy, whichever one that is. You just.
Which one is
Brooksy.
that?
I don't know. I played that right down the middle.
All right. Sounds good. That was interesting. That could literally be both. You could be terrorizing Bryson, or you could be loving Koepka.
Yeah, fanboying admiration for Brooks. Yeah.
I love it. Well, Dale, this was great. I love getting to talk with you and have this one-on-one. I can't wait till our next golf round. We got rained out a couple weeks ago, so we'll have to get back out there. Thank you so much, Dale, for being with us. We're glad to have you.
Yep. Thanks, Hayden. Appreciate it.